Hello and welcome to 2018's first edition of the SHU Sports Report. We're glad to be back and be able to bring you all the SHU sports action. I'm Gino Ganello.
And I'm Chris Carlos. Gino, it was quite the holiday break for the Sacred Heart Pioneers and their teams underway starting the spring semester.
Yeah, that's right, Chris. The men's and women's basketball team are both well underway in their conference play, and we even had some winter sports kick off their 2018 season. How about you get the ball rolling with some SHU hoops?
Over the break, the women's basketball team entered the Northeast Conference play, starting the road to the NEC tournament. The Pioneers are currently 2-5 in conference play as the young team look to find their identity in the wide-open Northeast Conference. The two wins that the team has so far were against Mount St. Mary's and Wagner, both on the road. In the 82-52 victory over the Mount, redshirt junior guard Candace Leatherwood put in a career-high 24 points. That win became the Pioneers' largest win since February 12, 2013. In their 72-55 win against Wagner, redshirt junior forward Catherine Haynes grabbed her 7th double-double of the season with a career-high 26 points and 11 boards. SHU looks to climb their way through the standings as they hit the road to face off against both Brooklyn teams. They'll start their 2-game road trip taking on the Blackbirds of LIU Brooklyn Saturday, the 27th at 2 p.m. They still have a lot of games remaining in the NEC play as they creep closer to the halfway point in conference play.
And with conference play well underway, the men's basketball team is also looking to claw their way up the standings as they are a week away from the midway point of their conference slate. Things didn't seem to go as planned as the Pioneers had a rough break going 2-8 over the last 10 games, only beating St. Francis Brooklyn and Fairleigh Dickinson. The rough skid brings SHU to 7-14 on the season. Despite the tough stretch, though, the Pioneers did have some standout players. Senior Joseph Lopez recorded 4 double-doubles over that period to continue his success this season, while guard Sean Hohen recorded at least 5 assists in 7 out of the 10 games the team played over the break. Forward Mario Matisovic also added some firepower over the break, scoring in double figures 8 out of the 10 games the team played. The Pioneers will hit the road for a 2-game road trip this weekend in hopes of turning the season around before the halfway point. They head to Pennsylvania to start that trip off against the Colonials of Robert Morris on Friday the 26th at 7 p.m. Both teams are in the pursuit of a berth in the NEC tournament and have a little over half of NEC play to get back in shape and climb those standings. Stay tuned, Pioneers fans. When we get back from break, we will have Alex Bousquet and 2018's First Update Corner.
Welcome back, Pioneer fans. I'm Alex Bousquet, and for this week's Update Corner, we'll kick things off with some Sacred Heart Bowling. Sacred Heart Bowling took a trip down to Reading, PA, as they looked to face off against some of the nation's top 25 teams in a field of 27 participating schools. Overall, Sacred Heart finished the tournament 12th out of the 27 teams with some impressive wins and some very close losses. In day 2 of the 3-day tournament, SHU went 1-3, winning against Stephen F. Austin. 2 out of the 3 losses came by only 20 pins or less. Sophomore Tori Boughton was named all-tournament first team for her outstanding performance during the tournament. Next up, the bowling team is back in the lanes this Saturday to bowl in the Westchester Shootout. On to Sacred Heart Wrestling as the Pioneers headed to Bloomsburg, PA for a dual meet against VMI and Bloomsburg. Sacred Heart split the event going 1-1 as they topped VMI 27-13 and fell to host Bloomsburg 29-13. Graduate Alex Harnsberger and senior Paul Klee won both their matches against VMI and Bloomsburg in their respective weight classes. Wrestling faces off against host Binghamton University Saturday, February 3rd. Next up, we have swimming and diving as they hosted crosstown rival Fairfield University for Senior Day over the weekend. Before the meet began, SHU honored swimmers Anna Brown and Emily Schenk, as well as diver Nicole Pergolotti. Sacred Heart would fall to the Stags 185.5 to 102.5, but the loss certainly didn't stop the Pioneers from breaking some pool records. Sophomore Lauren Summers set a new pool record in the 100 freestyle, touching at 52.49 seconds. She, along with fellow classmate Kim Hyland and freshmen Emily Peter and Margaret Flaherty, set a new pool record in the 400 freestyle relay with a time of 3 minutes and 39.63 seconds. The Pioneers are back in the pool as they head to CCSU for the CCSU Sprint Meet tomorrow morning. On to onto a Sacred Heart team that just kicked off their 2018 season men's volleyball. Sacred Heart is currently 0-2 as they started off the new year, but had a close loss to Ball State last Friday. After losing the first 2 sets, SHU bounced back, taking the third set 27-25, forcing extra sets. Sacred Heart would take that momentum into the fourth, forcing a 5th set after a 25-21 set win. The Pios unfortunately lost some steam in the 5th as Ball State rolled the Pioneers in the 5th set 15-7, ultimately taking the win and the match. Redshirt junior Emerson Wamens led the Pios with 14 kills on the day, while senior libero Josh Eisenberg led the match with 17 digs. For more on Sacred Heart men's volleyball and a look into the rest of their 2018 season, we have our very own Alex Padalino sitting with head coach of the Sacred Heart men's volleyball team.
For this week's Coach's Corner, we have men's volleyball head coach Greg Walker. Greg, thanks for joining us on the SHU Sports Report today.
Absolutely.
So we'll jump right into things. Last year, your program had a record of 15-11, and your team made it to the Eastern Intercollegiate Volleyball Association for the first time since 2010. So how do you feel like your team can kind of build off of that momentum, coming into this season?
Yeah, it was the neat thing about the team that we have that since I've been here is that the last couple of years we've been able to kind of just chip at it with the teams, elevate the competition, and get some really good kids in. And for last year being our first time making postseason in the new format for the IVA since the NCAA Division III broke off, it's a really cool thing. I mean, we were predicted 7th, and we did a lot, kind of surprise some teams. We were kind of the wild card in the conference, and I know the guys are really excited. I remember when we lost to St. Francis, a very good St. Francis team, we went in the locker room, and the guys were already hungry for the next season. So it was kind of neat to hear them talking about it and knowing what they're able to achieve. Pretty neat.
Great. So you touched upon in your last answer that 7th seed. So for this season, you were ranked 7th again in the coaches poll. So with that ranking, do you think that that's going to help motivate the team just to try to do a little bit better this season?
Absolutely. I think the guys really, they took it to heart. I was talking to some of my peers in the conference, and we really are a team that they weren't sure like who we had coming in. They knew who we had going out. And we were able to bring some very good talent. We had a couple transfers come in. And I know that when they hit the fall season for our kind of pre-training in the non-traditional season, they worked really hard in the weight room. And when we got to the court, the level of focus was pretty good. It's probably one of the highest level fall seasons that I've ever been a part of as far as a program being able to get in the gym right away. And it was really neat to see.
That's very impressive. I know that you graduated a very talented senior class at the end of last season. So you've got several returning underclassmen this year. You've got all EIVA first team selection Josh Eisenberg at libero, along with Taylor Bloomquist and Emerson Wamis. So how important do you think their leadership will be for the underclassmen this year?
Their leadership it's really hard to put into words, like how much, especially they've grown and been able to step up. And this has been a program that, from even the last 2 years, our senior class has been building. And they really take pride in what they've taken the time and the work and the effort to build. So it's really, really neat to see them step up this year. And, their leadership has been, I always use the phrase like servant leadership. And I think it's great to see them also helping to guide the kids the right way. They're very skilled as it is, but, I think our whole team, we have some really great, behind them, we have some really great, I think, leaders in general. We have a lot of guys that are taking initiative to step up and just to control a few extra things and make sure that we're all heading in the right direction, which it's been really neat. But Josh has been, is one of our leading captains this year, and he had a lot of accolades last year that he was able to throw back on the team, but it's nice to see him step up with leadership and say this is what our program is and this is who we want to be. So it's been a very good transition, and there was no hesitation on those guys really stepping up to say like that we're going to compete this year.
Mm-hmm. So this weekend, as you kind of look to the rest of the season, you're going to be at the Pitt Center for a little while. I know you played really well there last season. You were 12-3 overall. So what's it like, that energy, Pioneer faithful at home? How do you think that helps your team?
I think it's great. Since I've been here, our attendance has gone up every year. Our home crowds actually are something that I know we're pretty excited to play in front of. It's great to see, on my side of it, great to see the administrators there. It's great to see, even the president comes out to our matches and sees the boys play. And that means a lot to them, and it means a lot that people are excited to see them play now. I think it's funny that you said 12-3. I didn't even realize we were 12-3 at home. And it's just one of those things that we always talk about, protecting our home court. And since I've gotten here, it's something that these guys take personally. I know there's been times that we've been able to rally back from games and make a late match win in fourth or fifth sets, just because they truly appreciate playing on home court. And we have a lot of home games this year, so I'm interested to see the guys and how they respond with that, especially when we hit some of the conference games.
Well, Coach, that's all the time that we have today. From us here at the SHU Sports Report, we just want to thank you for spending some time with us, and we wish you the best of luck for the 2018 season.
Thank you.
Be sure to head to the Pitt Center to cheer on the men's volleyball team in their 2018 season opener as they host Linwood tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in the Pitt Center. After the break, we'll have more Sacred Heart sports action coming your way.
Welcome back to the SHU Sports Report. We will wrap things up today with Sacred Heart Hockey, as both teams had quite the busy holiday break. First, the men's ice hockey team looked to improve on their record over the break, as they are looking at 10 games left on the season. The men's ice hockey team went 3-3-2 since midway through December. All 8 games were conference bouts, with 2 out of 3 wins coming against Bentley and the final win against Air Force. This past week, SHU has gone on a much-needed 2-game winning streak, beating both Bentley and Air Force on the road. Sacred Heart hasn't won back-to-back games since earlier in the season, after beating UConn and Notre Dame. SHU pulled off a 4-2 win at Bentley with each goal scored by a different Pioneer. Sacred Heart then traveled to Air Force, winning the road game 2-1. Junior goaltender Brett Magnus tallied 75 saves on 78 shots over the 2 games. Men's ice hockey looks to continue their winning streak as they host a 2-game series with conference foe Robert Morris starting February 2nd at 10:35 a.m.
We'll keep it on the ice as women's ice hockey had quite the holiday break, looking to improve on their own record. The Sacred Heart women's ice hockey team went an impressive 7-2 over the break, bringing their overall record to 19-5. The Pioneers outscored their opponents in that span 42-10 and are currently on a 3-game win streak. Recently, Sacred Heart beat St. Michael's on the road 7-1 and beat Post in a home-and-home series, outscoring them 14-0 through both games. Over the 3 games, senior Brittany Smith tallied 6 goals, including a hat trick in the first game against Post, while goaltender Sarah Urban got the win for 2 of the games as she made 22 saves on 23 shots. The women's ice hockey team still has 8 games left on their regular season schedule and are only 1 win away from tying last year's win record of 20 games on the season. They start their final 8 games with a 2-game home series against Holy Cross this weekend. The first of the 2-game home series starts tomorrow night at 7:30 p.m. as the Pioneers look for their 20th win and to continue their win streak. Well, Pioneer fans, it's been great to be back, but we are all out of time for this week. Be sure to tune in next week for more Sacred Heart sports action. From all of us here at the SHU Sports Report, I'm Gino Ganello.
And I'm Chris Cayozzo. Thanks for watching.